Get started on this instructional video on how to use Keynote for your World War I problem-based learning project. So we're going to figure out a few things on Keynote. It's very simple, even if you've never used it before. Now if you're like me, you can never find things on your iPad. I just search. So you tap once, swipe down, start typing in key, and you'll find Keynote. And I have no presentations. You might have to hit OK a few times to get to this screen, or it might say create presentation, but either way, I'm going to go to the plus up here and create presentation. These are all kinds of pretty kind of preset options. Let's do this leather book one. It seems very World War I-ish. So I need a title. So when you're thinking about a title, it's always good to go back to the requirements of the assignment. So if you look over here, what you're doing today, and some of your copies may be green, is have two big questions. Was the Treaty of Versailles fair? And will the Treaty of Versailles create lasting peace? And you're doing it from your country's perspective. So I'm going to do one here that doesn't exist, just to use as an example. I'm going to use Austria-Hungary. Doesn't exist on that list. So I'm going to go over back to my iPad, and I'm going to give this a title. So it's going to be, just for sake of time, I'm just going to put Austria. Respond to the Treaty of Versailles. So to edit, you double click a word and then you can just highlight the thing you want to fix on it. There's probably a better way, but I'm not sure of it right now. And that's my title. And you can even put your team name here. So the people in your team. So I'm going to make up some names. Joan, Doug, and Marie. Maria, we'll do that. So now we're ready to get going on the presentation. We've done a pretty looking intro screen. So then you click this little plus over here, and this gives you all kinds of like preset things to make. And what you guys are probably going to like is something to do with these bullets. This one over here where you have a title, you have some bullets, and an image you can put in. Now, what are we going to even do this about? Well, let's go back to the requirements of the project. So, remember your paper is probably either green or yellow or maybe even purple, and some of yours may be a little bit different. I have them different for different classes, but it probably says something about 2 causes or 5 causes of World War I. So you have to define or tell about those causes. So I'm just going to do one as an example. So let's see, militarism. Let's do that one real quick. Let's go back to the iPad here, and I'm going to give the title, double click or double tap, militarism. There it is. Now I'm going to define it here. Double tap to edit. Is when ride ponies. Now of course that's not correct because I want you to put your own for militarism. Just telling me a bit about what it is. Now you have some all kinds of notes that you can go to. Let's say you had no idea what militarism was. I would first look at your notes because that's going to be the fastest way. Otherwise there's a website you can go to, and I'll show you right on your iPad here. Going back to my home screen, go to Safari. I'm going to make a new tab here by going to the plus, and you can go to is.gd /WW1 links, LINKS. And this has a lot of things. Always click on that red one there. It's just the full link. It's going to have all kinds of resources for you. So here's you know what, if it's just simple definitions, this Quizlet is going to be really easy to use. It's right here. This Quizlet right here has all kinds of definitions. Also, look, there's a reading, there's a video, there's 2 more readings, all on the causes of World War I. You could click on that. Those same readings are over here about explaining 3 causes. So I think, though, I'm going to go to the Quizlet. You don't have to use the Quizlet app. In fact, it's worse than the website for whatever reason. And look, there's all kinds of definitions and hints on how to study for this unit, those basic vocab. There's the definition of all those causes right there. All there ready for you. There's assassination, trench warfare, League of Nations, all that. So let's go back to our project. So I'm double tapping, going to Keynote. Alright, so I still need to figure out what else I need to put for my project. So let's go back to the instructions and look right there. Look at the Treaty of Versailles. Does it do anything to prevent the 2 causes you chose? So I need to figure out, did the Treaty of Versailles to end World War I, did it do anything to stop militarism? Because if it's a good treaty, it better fix the problems that started the war, or else it all seems kind of pointless, right? So I'm going to say, did Treaty of Versailles do anything to stop militarism? Well, I don't have the Treaty of Versailles memorized, so I'm going to go to my handy little handout that has these 7 different important terms of the treaty. And I'm going to look through that with my group and figure out, hey, did the Treaty of Versailles do anything to stop these? And if it did, great. I'm going to say the Treaty of Versailles limited or completely got rid of any chance of militarism. Or maybe I'll say it stopped militarism in Britain. Or maybe I'll say it makes militarism less likely because countries are going to talk about their problems. All those different things are things you can say. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but you do need a good, complete, logical answer. So over here, back here, I'm going to say the treaty does stop all militarism because, and it doesn't, that's why I'm putting this, because if you put that, it would be wrong. Let's do this example. Because unicorns will shoot all angry people. And there it is. Now I'm done with militarism. But I have this kind of stock image here. If I want to change that, I'm going to click on it here, and then why do I do this? Up here at this little thing here, image, and I'm going to replace it. But you know what? I need to allow access to my photos, and I don't have photos on here necessarily that I want. So what I'm going to do is go to Safari, and I'm just going to do a quick search. I just searched for World War I militarism. You could just say military or World War I army, and I searched. Here's all these images. I like this poster here. And I open it up, I view the image, I just hold down my finger and I hit Save Image. Done. You also might be able to copy it. I think Save Image is a little bit easier. Go back to Keynote, and I hit this up here, and I hit Replace, and there it is in my camera roll right there. Now, if I want to change how this views, I can hold down a little bit, and it seems to be in pretty good shape. Maybe I want to animate how it comes in. And I want to, so let's see, let's do anvil. So here's what's going to happen. Boom, that image will come in kind of a fancy way. So now you've learned a little bit about Keynote and how to do part 1 of your project. So let's pretend like that we have another slide here for your second cause, or if you're doing 5, then the 5th cause, and let's move on. Let's look at your requirements over here. You do the same thing for either trench warfare or total war. Okay? Does the Treaty of Versailles do anything to stop those? So you'll end up with a very similar slide to what you just had. Trench warfare. You're going to describe here. And I hit return to start anew, and then I'm going to talk about the treaty. Does the treaty do anything to stop trench warfare? And to do that, of course, I'm always looking back to this sheet of paper right here and looking at these 7 terms. And that's it. That's how you do the project for those first 2 conditions. Now look at this last one. Was the Treaty of Versailles fair to all countries? Will the Treaty of Versailles create peace? Those are your questions that are going to be big questions that your group needs to answer. That's your opinion based on what you know of this treaty and of war. Now you're answering from your country's perspective. So France is going to have a very different outlook on this than Germany, which is going to have a very different outlook than Britain, or some of you are Italy. So make sure you answer from that perspective. And the way I would do that is I would come over here, and you have, I had to hide my keyboard there, and you can use whichever of these you want. Maybe you use this one because it's going to be mostly text, and you answer the question about fair. And you could even just do it like this. Is it fair? And then answer down here. Yes, no, and why. And then you have one more that says, looks like this. And actually, I don't like that one. Okay, so let's look at maybe making it. Well, first let's watch our video and see how it looks so far. So I hit that little play button up there. Presentation tips, okay. Go back to my first slide. I like that beginning. There's militarism. I tap one more time. And there's my image. So it's looking pretty good. And that didn't take me very long at all. So remember, make sure you do everything on the instructions, and happy making your movie. Actually, not your movie.